We'll read this. By attending this remote or hybrid district speech contest, you agree to the privacy policy of Toastmasters International, as well as the unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages, may be shared with other meeting participants and will be recorded by Toastmasters International, who may use the recording in the future as it sees fit. Your attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arising out of or in connection with the use or distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited to any claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. I would really like to get it down where they can do that language like they do at the end of all the legal language at the end of the commercials. Let the contest begin. All audience. All audience members online, please mute your mics. Well, contestant number 1, Doreen Nolan, please say your name to check for audio and video.
Dory Nolan, can you hear me now?
And you can see the timer?
Yes.
Contestant number 1, Dory Nolan. I got this. I got this. Dory Nolan.
Actually, the title should be, I got this again. Some of you may remember my previous speech, I got this, where I talked about Nick and I starting the bone broth diet. Well, we did great. It starts off with a 21-day challenge where you eat things that are only on an acceptable eating list. We ended up dealing fiercely with a sugar demon, assisted by my inner child. Now, they would coax us and tempt us to eat things like that were not on any type of healthy eating list. But we beat them. We did it. We made it through the carb flu. If you don't know what that is, it's flu-like symptoms being administered by a sugar demon. You crave bad things, sugary foods, gluten, and my favorite, ice cream. You also have to deal with fasting twice within each week. And for me, that also consisted with the day after living in the throne room. But pun still intended, we did it. Dropped weight, looked good, felt better, enjoyed the benefits of being healthy for way over 9 to 10-ish months. After the 21-day challenge, we would occasionally treat ourselves while still maintaining the diet. Then the holidays happened. My sister, who introduced us to the diet, warned me. She says, "Don't get off the diet, you'll regret it." She was speaking from newly gained experience. I told her, "I got this." Nick and I had agreed that for the holidays, we weren't going to torture ourselves by avoiding things. We would eat the way of the diet while maintaining and having small amounts. And then in January, restart the diet full force, 21-day challenge, fasting, and all. Thanksgiving came. We did great. ate healthy, stayed on target. I was so proud of us. Then Christmas blew in with all the good stuff like sugar cookies and gumdrops and candies and holiday drinks. We did pretty good at the beginning. Midway through December, my old nemesis, the sugar demon, waltzed in dressed as Santa Claus and said, "Cookies, cookies for everyone." Hoo, hoo, hoo. My inner child, who had been really good, all of a sudden goes, "Hey." I'm like, "No, we are not indulging. We are maintaining the diet with only a little bit of goodies. Now zip it and leave." They laughed and he stayed. Everyone, do I look like I maintained any sort of a healthy diet? Don't answer that. No. Anyhow, January came. The sugar demon, now sporting a bowl full of jelly, said, "You must celebrate the new year, fancy desserts and champagne." We had the desserts and he stayed. Then February, the sugar demon, now dressed as a chubby cherub, exclaimed, "Remember your Valentine, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate." We did, and he still stayed. March came and went with more reasons to stay off the diet, like I found cookie recipes. And my big dog developed a taste for donuts. I couldn't let him eat them. Now here it is, April. And I had to get off this bad eating roller coaster ride from you know where, engineered by who? The sugar demon. Yeah. Well, he doesn't know it yet, but I've made steps to get him out. I've started eating better, exercising almost daily, walking, biking, dancing to the Body Groove videos, and restored kind of a version of the bone broth diet. And I am packing his bags. Chips, cookies, gluten, all of it is going out the window. Now, my favorite ice cream has been switched to low-calorie gelato. It tastes good and it keeps my inner child from blabbing. I have got to do this because I realize if I want to be around for Nick, my family, you guys, and me, I've got a lot of things to do. I've got to stick with it. Contest chair, fellow carb lovers, and honored guest. I've seen and felt how important diet and exercise are to feeling great and looking good. And I'm pretty sure that some of you out there are going to keep me accountable. Right? Shake your heads. Yes. Yeah. Well, let's do this. But shh, don't tell the sugar demon. I want to make sure that I have got a hold on this before he knows, and I can tell him, go away, because I got this. Again, contest chair.
One minute of silence, please. Timers, please notify me when 1 minute is up. Contestant number 2. Can you see the timer?
Yes, I can.
We can hear you and we can see you. Contestant number 2, Debbie Dalton. Kids say the darnest things. Kids say the darnest things. Debbie Dalton.
Aga, goo, baba, mama, dad. Contest chair, judges, fellow Toastmasters, I ask you, is there anything more thrilling than your baby's first words? From the moment that precious bundle's placed in your arms, you can't wait to hear what they'll have to say. But I'm here to warn you, be careful what you wish for. You never know what's going to come out of those little mouths. Allow me to demonstrate with 3 stories about my own children. I'll set the stage for the first one. It's Thanksgiving Day. My entire house is filled with all of my in-laws and the aromas that are wafting through the air. Mouths are watering and bellies are growling. And everything is turning out perfect. And I am already doing a happy dance and patting myself on the back as I'm putting the finishing touches on. Because this is my year to shine. This is my year to prove to everyone, including my mother-in-law, that I really can cook. It's all perfect. And I'm pulling out the final tray of rolls when it happens. The smoke detector goes off. Everybody comes running into the kitchen. And just as they're settling down and realizing that the house is not really going to burn down around their ears, that's when I hear it. And I know I'm about to be outed by my 4-year-old daughter. Because from across the house, as fast as her little legs will carry her, and as loud and proud as her voice will carry, supper's ready, supper's ready, supper's ready. And they knew. And from that moment till now, more than 26 years later, that's the running joke in my house. How do you know when supper's ready at Debbie's house? The smoke detector goes off. So that's a story we tell pretty much every Thanksgiving holiday and still get a giggle out of. The second story about my son, it could have had a little more serious consequences. He was in kindergarten, and at the time, his dad made his living as a long-haul truck driver. So when it was time for his open house at school and he was assigned to write a story about someone he knew, wasn't really a surprise that he chose to write about his mother. So the big day comes and he is so excited and everything is so cute. You just love seeing everything. And we come to his story posted on the wall. His story goes, my story is about my mother. My mother is very nice. Oh, my mother has yellow hair. My mother is long-legged. My mother has 2 friends, and their names are Travis and Jacob. Daniel, who are Travis and Jacob? He looks at me, love and pride shining in his eyes. But Mama, you don't have any real friends. I made some up. So it's bad enough that my 5-year-old son felt so sorry for me that he created imaginary playmates. It was about that time that I realized how many people in this room knew my family, Knew that my husband, because of his work, was not home very much, and also knew that there was nobody in the family named Travis or Jacob. Daniel, you have done such a great job. I think we should hurry up and gather all this stuff and leave early so that we can go home and tell everybody about how good you did with all these things. And when Daddy calls tonight, you make sure and tell him about the special story you made for Mama. Turns out I didn't get a divorce over that story. And you would think that after those two, nothing would surprise me. But you'd be wrong. The story about my third and youngest child was when we were preparing for a beach vacation. And for some crazy reason, the only thing I can think is that I'm a glutton for punishment and want to feel as insecure as I can possibly feel anytime I go to the beach. I decided I was going to try on a bikini that I hadn't worn in at least 10 years. So I'm in the mirror. From behind me, I hear, "Oh, I love that." Well, maybe I still got it. Maybe this ain't so bad. And Destiny says, "I love that bathing suit. Can I have it?" Oh, sweetheart, you're only 8 years old. It'll be a really long time before you're big enough to wear this bathing suit. And being brutally honest, she says, "But it'll be a lot longer before you're little enough to wear it." Turns out she was right. And so, as you can see, your children, once they start speaking their truths, you probably need to be ready to be humbled a little bit. Now I can laugh and giggle about all of those stories. But what really tickles me is that I know each one of my children have their day coming. I can't wait to hear what my grandkids have to say. Contest chair.
One minute of silence, please. Timers, please notify me when 1 minute is up. Contestant number 3, can you see the timer?
Yes.
We can see you and we can hear you. Contestant number 3, Wayne Good. Impressive. Impressive. Wayne Good.
I do not like learning from my mistakes. Yes, it's educational, but it's also embarrassing. I prefer to learn from the mistakes of others. It's just as educational and far more entertaining. Unfortunately, that hasn't worked too well for me. I've discovered that it's my lot in life to be the one that provides entertainment and edification for others. I am, however, resigned to my fate. So at the risk of badly embarrassing myself, I will entertain and I hope educate you with a cautionary tale of how I learned 2 impressive lessons. Now, to understand me, you need to know that I value efficiency. For example, my process for making a decision: quick glance, first impression, snap judgment. It's extremely efficient. And what could possibly go wrong? Let's set the Wayback Machine for the late 80s. I'd been out of college a few years and I was still unattached. That Sunday night at church, I was sitting in my usual place, a pew strategically located where I could spot any visitors who happened to be eligible young ladies. I glanced through the door and saw her walk in. Blonde, good looking, but she seems a bit young for me. Time for an efficient snap judgment based on a first impression. She's just some high school kid here visiting her grandma. I glanced over to see who was coming in the other side. The only problem with my snap judgment was that it was completely wrong. I found out later that she wasn't some high school kid. She just graduated from college and was working as a news photographer. The next Sunday morning in Bible class, our roles were reversed as she watched me wander in, late, no suit, no tie, but I was wearing scuffed up cowboy boots. I must have looked like the prodigal son returning home. As I walked in, the teacher said, "How's your band doing, Wayne?" "Oh, great, we had a gig last night." I found out later that I had just made an impression on her. If I could have put a stethoscope on her brain and listened, I would have heard, "There's just some punk in a band been out playing who knows where, so who knows when, and only here because his mama made him coming to church." Apparently, she also valued the efficiency of a snap judgment. The only problem with her snap judgment was that it was completely wrong. Yeah, I was in a band as a hobby, but I was gainfully employed as an engineer, and I was, no kidding, the church librarian. We eventually figured out that our first impressions were not quite accurate. I became interested in her, so you know what comes next? I tried to impress her. When we were talking at church, I said, "I drove to school my senior year. Did you drive, or did you have to ride the bus?" And she replied, "Well, actually both. In my senior year, I drove the school bus." Now, girls should be demure and ooh and ah at everything a guy does to protect his fragile ego. Right, guys? Apparently, she didn't get the memo, and I didn't think reading it to her would improve the situation. Next time, I tried to impress her with my job. Engineers are exciting, right? I said, "We had a meeting to pick out a naming system for our educational software. The boss chose my suggestion." She replied, "Well, I trekked through the woods at night with the police looking for a parachutist who got stuck in a tree. These light on my camera to see to rescue him." I tried to impress her. She tried to outdo me. This was escalating out of control. We were headed towards mutually assured destruction. So I decided to try unilateral disarmament. The next time, I had something that was actually impressive. Our band had released an EP, but I decided to try honesty. I said, "Our band just released an EP. Okay, actually, it's just 3 songs on a cassette that we duplicated by hooking up our tape players. And the cover is just some photo we ran off on a copy machine. So, it's not really an EP, but I wanted to give you a copy." She looked at it and then replied, "That's very nice." What was going on here? And then it hit me. I mean, not the cassette tape. She didn't throw it at me. I finally understood. All I had to do was be myself. That would impress her, and she wouldn't try to one-up me. I want you to learn these two impressive lessons. Don't rely on first impressions and snap judgments. They're often wrong, and they can lead to decisions that you will regret. Second, don't try to impress people. Just be yourself. You impress people by being honest and sincere, not by showing off. How did that story end? Kim and I have been married for 32 years and 3 kids, all because we learned these two impressive lessons from our impressive mistakes. So learn what we did, don't trust first impressions, and don't try to impress others. Mr. Toastmaster.
Please remain silent until all the ballots have been collected by the judge. Chief Judge, please notify me when you have all the ballots.
I will. I have all the ballots.
Thank you. Contestants, please turn on your videos and let's all give them a rousing hand. Just to show you what they are going to receive tonight. Now, I'm going to be greedy because I'm going to show it to them, but then I'm going to keep it. The reason why I'm going to keep it is because once we know the names, we're going to have them engraved and then they will be mailed to them. This is first place and this will be for second place. Dory. What club do you represent and how long have you been in Toastmasters?
Tonight I am representing ATPE. Yay! Advanced Toastmasters Pursuing Excellence. How long have I been in Toastmasters? Close to 6 years, I think.
You have a lot of interests. Now, I remember growing up, one of the bad habits that my mom used to do, she loved her Elvis. And she would be walking around the house just singing up a storm her Elvis songs. I see one of your interests on here is music,
Mhm.
singing. So what do you like to sing around the house?
Whatever is playing in my head. Sometimes I'll play something from a movie I've seen, Trolls. The first Trolls is one of my favorite movies, and I'll put on the soundtrack from that and sing along with that. Pretty much anything will come out of my mouth.
And she happens to have some paintings in the silent auction tonight. So the silent auction is now open, I believe. So bid up. That painting someday may be worth a lot of money. So Debbie, what club are you representing tonight and how long have you been in Toastmasters?
I am in Energy Valley Toastmasters and am loving it. Fairly new. January was 1 year, so not even a year and a half yet.
Incredible. So you said you're writing your first book. What's your book going to be about?
My first book is about nudges. It's about how things kind of come together miraculously, there's no way to explain it except that it's a synchronicity that is meant to help you change direction or understand where you want to go, which is actually how I got into finding Toastmasters and wanting to speak. It was just an out of the blue kind of experience where I was making a bucket list and trying to think of things that I've never thought of before, and out of my mouth spilled, I would love to be comfortable speaking to people and actually be able to communicate and make an impact on others.
I see
I-
your
I'm sorry.
occupation is postmaster.
Yes,
Master. So are you the person I complained about all these bills I keep getting?
I'm definitely one of them you complain about. I take the blame for everything that has to do with the mail, from the delivery to what you're actually getting to what you're not getting. I think that's what they pay me for, is to take the blame for it all.
Mr. Wayne,
Howdy.
what club are you representing and how long have you been in Toastmasters?
I am representing Harpeth View. I've been in since 2009.
And you are a speaker at software development conferences. So are you a geek?
No, but I guess sometimes I play one at work. I know a lot of technical things, TCP/IP networking suite, which probably maybe 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 people are interested in. But if you do that sort of thing, it's important to learn it. But I also have communication and leadership skills, and you don't think engineers and communication go together. So I like to do that, is teach those skills to engineers because I understand their point of view, I understand their background, how they can use communication and leadership, and the difficulties they may have learning it.
So if you do software development, how do I know you're real and not AI?
Because I'm not that good. Or how do I know you're not AI, I guess?
Who would want to? Let's see. Coming back to Dory.
Yes.
You said, what inspires you the most? Everything.
Yes.
So who is your biggest person, if you had to name one inspiration?
biggest person I'm, like I said, I'm inspired by almost everything, whether it's the birds and the trees out right outside our living room window, or one of my dogs who was sitting and contemplating the universe yesterday on how to catch a squirrel. Nick inspires me a lot, and he helps keep my inspirations going. I give a ton of credit to him for a lot. So I would say Nick, who is there running this hybrid stuff today.
Is he AI?
Amazingly intelligent, yes.
Debbie, it says, so you get pretty active. It says you completed 2 half marathons. You do hiking. So what do you do with plus raising kids?